Hello and welcome to 168 Hours. I'm your host Malak Ahmad Fayaz, and in this week's edition we'll be covering the most significant news stories from the past 7 days. Stay tuned. The Maldives and the United Arab Emirates UAE discusses enhancing cooperation in cybersecurity and data protection. The discussions were held between President Dr. Mohammad Moizu and the head of cybersecurity of UAE, Dr. Mohammad Al Kuwaiti.
The UAE's head of cybersecurity paid a courtesy call on President Dr. Moiz on Wednesday at the President's office. Welcoming him to the Maldives, President Dr. Moiz expressed gratitude to the leadership and the government of the UAE for the considerable assistance and opportunities granted to the Maldives over the years. The President noted that this stands as a testament to the brotherly relations between the two countries. The President expressed his gratitude to President of the UAE, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, for his vision and leadership in promoting strategic partnerships between the two countries. President Dr. Moiz also noted the ongoing projects in the Maldives with the UAE's assistance to enhance law enforcement capacity. Furthermore, discussions were held on enhancing cooperation in cybersecurity and data protection. The President and the UAE's head of cybersecurity also discussed mitigating misinformation and disinformation and the importance of facilitating training opportunities for officials to keep up with the technological advancements. The President and UAE's head of cybersecurity reaffirmed their commitment to working towards enhancing cooperation in areas of mutual benefit between the two nations.
President Dr. Mohammad Moizu meets with members of Malé City Council and Women's Development Committee WDC. The meeting was held at the Secretariat of the Malé City Council.
The meeting was held to discuss the essential needs and important development initiatives for Malé City. As such, the meeting saw council members briefing the President on the challenges facing the ongoing development efforts in Malé City. They deliberated on effective strategies for addressing housing issues and road congestions in Malé. Additionally, the members informed the President about the cemetery's capacity issues and the lack of centralized council services. The challenges faced in striving to provide optimal service to the community was also outlined. During the meeting, the President detailed the government's initiatives to centralize services for the Malé City Council and assured full support for improving public service provision. He also indicated that the Council's role in addressing issues such as traffic congestion and housing would be incorporated. Meanwhile, members of the WDC expressed that they receive comprehensive support from the government authorities for their initiatives. However, they also conveyed concern about a lack of anticipated changes in the committee's functions. Additionally, the committee briefed the President on their key plans for the year. The President acknowledged that members had brought attention to major issues regarding salary constraints, allowances, and other entitlements. He mentioned that legal changes were in progress to address these concerns. Furthermore, he stated that the structure of WDC would be revised to improve technical review and enhance the committee's efficiency. He assured the government would wholeheartedly support initiatives to empower women and advance their causes. The President also signed the official guest book. The council members presented the President with a plaque as a memento of this visit. The meeting was part of the President's ongoing series of visits to the Island Council and City Councils.
The government of Maldives strongly condemns the storming of Al-Aqsa Mosque by the officials, including 2 ministers of the Israeli government.
A statement made public by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs read that this is a serious violation of the sanctity of one of the holiest sites of Muslim Ummah. It read that the Maldives is deeply concerned about these repeated incursions by Israel into the Aqsa Mosque that threaten the hopes of achieving peace and stability in the region. Furthermore, the Maldivian government stated that it and the people of Maldives stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine. The Maldivian government also reiterated its call on the international community to work together to find a peaceful and lasting solution to the conflict. On Tuesday, Israel's far-right National Security Minister led more than 2,000 Israelis through the compound singing Jewish hymns under the protection of Israeli police and performed prayers. Several other senior members reportedly joined the march. This act by the Israeli minister was met with criticism by the United States. As such, the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said in a statement that these provocative actions only exacerbate tensions at a pivotal moment when all focus should be on the ongoing diplomatic efforts to achieve a ceasefire agreement and secure the release of all hostages and create the conditions for broader regional stability. Furthermore, the United Nations called the move by the Israeli minister unduly provocative and stated that Al-Aqsa Mosque, like the other holy sites in Jerusalem, should be left to themselves and should be controlled by existing religious authorities for the sites.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Musa Zamir expresses confidence in stronger bilateral relations with Bahrain after concluding his official visit to the country.
Concluding his 4-day trip to Bahrain, Foreign Minister Zamir stated that it was an honor to be given the opportunity to meet with Bahrain's Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, who also serves as the Prime Minister. The minister revealed that discussions were held with the Prime Minister of Bahrain and several other high-profile dignitaries, which will fortify the existing ties between the two countries. During the meeting with Bahrain's Prime Minister, Minister Zamir presented a letter from President Dr. Mohammed Muiz addressed to the King of Bahrain, Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa. Thanking the leadership and the government of Bahrain for the closeness accorded to the Maldives throughout the past few decades, the minister and Bahrain's Prime Minister discussed ways to deepen existing bilateral ties between both countries. They also deliberated on international issues of mutual interest, such as the global economic situation, climate change, and environment. In his official visit, Mr. Zamir met with his counterpart, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Bahrain, Dr. Abdul Latif bin Rashid Al Zayani. The two ministers reflected on the long-standing bonds of friendship and cooperation between the Maldives and Bahrain that is rooted in the two countries' common Islamic heritage, shared values, and principles. The discussions focused on strengthening the existing bilateral partnership between the two countries and prospects for enhancing economic cooperation. The two ministers also discussed the possibility of holding the first round of bilateral political consultations between the Maldives and Bahrain at a time of mutual convenience. They shared their commitment to explore new avenues of cooperation between the two nations. Furthermore, Mr. Zamir also met with Bahrain's Minister of Finance and National Economy, Sheikh Salman bin Khalifa Al Khalifa. The discussions held between the ministers pertain to enhancing economic cooperation, including investment promotion, trade, and tourism between the two countries. The minister also discussed the government's fiscal and development policies and prospects for cooperation with Bahrain in the Maldives' development journey. Mr. Zamir further gave a brief overview on the economic and investment opportunities available in the Maldives. Meanwhile, the meeting held with Minister of Tourism and Chairman of the Tourism and Exhibitions Authority of Bahrain, Fatma bint Jafar Al Sayrafi, centered on enhancing the cooperation in the tourism sector. Mr. Zamir disclosed that the Bahrain minister commended the resilience of the tourism sector of the Maldives. The two ministers deliberated on the prospects for cooperation between the two nations and also examined investment prospects in the Maldives. Additionally, Mr. Zamir met with the senior officials of the Bahrain Economic Development Board. At the meeting, the minister and members of the board exchanged their views and opinions on B2B engagements and prospects for economic diversification. The minister also briefed the members on the investment opportunities available in the Maldives. Before concluding his visit, Mr. Zamir also met with the Chief Executive Officer CEO Maitam Abdullah and senior members of Bahrain telecommunications company Batelco. Batelco is the leading integrated communications provider in Bahrain. Speaking at the meeting, the minister extended his sincere appreciation to Batelco for the pivotal role they play in enhancing connectivity across the Maldives. The discussions also pertain to strengthening bilateral cooperation in the field of telecommunication, enhance connectivity, and improve cybersecurity. Mirza Zamir undertook his official visit to Bahrain on the invitation of Bahrain's foreign minister. He was accompanied by the ambassador at large Ahmad Nasir, Secretary Bilateral Dr. Hala Hamid, Joint Secretary Mariam Risha, and Assistant Director Mizna Wahid.
The Minister of External Affairs of India, S. Jaishankar, says that the relationship between India and Maldives is a modern relationship that will bring delightful changes to the lives of the people. He made the statement during the ceremony held to mark the completion and handover of the Hankedi Bridge project and the land reclamation project of Addu city.
Speaking at the ceremony, the Indian minister highlighted the aid of India in the development of Maldives and Addu city. Highlighting these aids, Jaishankar remarked that the relationship between India and Maldives has transformed into a modern relationship that makes way for development that changes the lives of people. Jaishankar noted that India in recent years has spent $220 million on the development of Addu city, and added that this reflects the priority given by the country to Maldives' regional development. He went on to note that 184 hectares of land has been reclaimed under the Addu Land Reclamation Project. He also noted that the Addu Road Development Project with good drainage systems is near completion. Noting that these projects will facilitate domestic transportation and create more job opportunities in Addu city, Jaishankar stated that the project will also lead to economic growth with increase in business opportunities in the city. He also highlighted that the Tilamale Bridge project will symbolize the strong relationship between India and Maldives, and noted some of the major developmental projects being implemented in the Maldives with Indian assistance. The Indian Foreign Minister concluded his speech by noting that the country gives high priority to human resource development along with infrastructure development. He added that the opportunities for employee capacity building have been greatly increased recently.
Minister of Finance Dr. Mohammad Shafiq announces that efforts to bring reformations to the Asanda system will commence this October.
Speaking at the Parliamentary Committee on Public Accounts, Minister Dr. Shafiq detailed that the reform initiative for the Asanda system is set to start in October. He emphasized the system's vital role for residents and assured that any changes will be implemented only after thorough consultation with the public, ensuring that no modifications will adversely affect residents. Furthermore, Minister Dr. Shafiq highlighted the importance of avoiding unnecessary operations, tests or medications under the Asanda scheme. The minister highlighted that such actions increases wasteful expenditures while putting patients into difficult conditions. He also stressed the need for public awareness campaigns regarding the forthcoming changes to the Asanda system. On August 5th, the Parliamentary Committee on Social Affairs held a significant meeting with the senior officials of the National Social Protection Agency and SPA and Asanda Company Limited. Speaking at the committee, NSPA's Chief Executive Officer Hina Walid outlined the efforts being made to enhance and strengthen the service systems of both entities. She revealed that the objective behind this change is to ensure that the Asanda better serves those most in need, adding that Asanda would prioritize private insurance starting from October 1st. As such, Hina said that individuals with other insurance plans will be required to first clear their bills through their primary insurance before using Asanda and NSPA for the remaining balance. Furthermore, Hina noted that the cost of services at private hospitals in the Maldives is excessively high.
Minister of Finance Dr. Mohammad Shafiq assures that citizens will not bear the burden of the measures taken to enhance state revenue. He made the statement during a session with the Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee.
Speaking at the committee meeting held to discuss the government's medium-term fiscal and debt policy for 2025 to 2027, Minister Shafiq said that the government has no plans to increase taxes such as Goods and Services Tax (GST), Tourism Goods and Services Tax TGST, business profit tax BPT, or withholding tax. As such, he said that any changes in taxes and fees would be structured to avoid burdening the public. Instead of raising tax rates, he said that the government intends to broaden the tax base, including increasing import duties on certain harmful items, which he noted would also have societal benefits. Additionally, Minister Shafiq highlighted his commitment to consulting with stakeholders before making any changes to the tax base. He emphasized efforts to recover significant amounts of unpaid taxes and acknowledged that while many reforms were included in this year's budget, implementation has been delayed due to various challenges. He also stressed the need for careful consideration in executing these changes. Furthermore, Minister Shafiq indicated that pay harmonization would be a key focus in preparing next year's budget. He also said that measures will be taken to reduce costs by improving the management of state-owned enterprises, SOEs. Regarding the substantial debt of Maldives, Minister Shafiq expressed concern over the need to boost revenue to manage debt repayments. He noted that 28% of the current income is allocated to debt interest, which hampers the government's ability to fund projects and services. As such, he highlighted ongoing efforts to address the debts. Moreover, Minister Shafiq outlined the government's commitment to increasing revenue and stabilizing the economy. He also pointed to the Sovereign Development Fund (SDF) as a key part of this strategy, which $65 million deposited into the fund as of July this year.
The Ministry of Homeland Security and Technology announces that an amendment to the Drug Act has been drafted and submitted to the Attorney General's Office (AGO), proposing the introduction of the death penalty for drug smugglers in the Maldives.
Currently, the death penalty in the Maldives is reserved for murder cases, making this the first time such a severe punishment has been proposed for a crime other than homicide. Under the current Drug Act, the most severe punishment is life imprisonment for 25 years and a fine ranging from $6,500 to $650,000. It marks the first instance of the death penalty being considered in drug-related cases. The proposed amendment to the Drug Act includes a provision in Schedule 1 that mandates the death penalty for the importation of more than 500 grams of drugs. The amendment lists 139 types of drugs. The draft bill also states that if any of these drugs exceed the specified weight and the individual is convicted of drug trafficking, the death penalty would be enforced. Additionally, the amendment seeks to expand the power of the Drug Court of the Maldives, revising rehabilitation provisions and clarifying the conditions under which drug-related activities are considered trafficking. The bill also defines trafficking to include financing drug operations and providing facilities and vehicles for smuggling. The expanded powers of the Drug Court would now include issuing arrest warrants for drug use and trafficking offenses, a role previously handled by the Criminal Court of the Maldives. In addition, certain matters that were previously at the discretion of the Drug Court and the Prosecutor General's Office (PGO) have been made mandatory, including stricter penalties for violations of treatment orders and prosecution for omissions.
Minister of Homeland Security and Technology Ali Hussain announces that the design has been finalized for Hope Island, a rehabilitation center for children exposed to criminal environments. Minister Hussain revealed plans to establish a facility aimed at steering juvenile offenders away from crime and guiding them towards a better path on April 6th. Vani in Dal Atoll has been designated as Hope Island, where these children will be rehabilitated. The minister confirmed that the design phase is complete and that the financing model will soon be presented to the Economic Council, with work set to begin within the week. The Homeland Ministry stated that Hope Island will have the capacity to accommodate and rehabilitate up to 400 children at a time. The facility will offer formal education, exercise, and skills training programs. The children will also reside on Hope Island until they turn 18, after which they will serve a designated term with either the Maldives Police Service MPS or the Maldives National Defence Force MNDF before being given opportunities to pursue careers of their choice. Additionally, the government has decided to lower the age of criminal responsibility from 15 to 12 years as part of reforms to the juvenile justice system. Under current law, criminal responsibility applies to those aged 15 to 18. However, Minister Yusan explained that the change is due to a rise in criminal activities among children aged 12 to 15 who have become increasingly exposed to criminal environments. He also emphasized that despite this legal adjustment, there is no intention to imprison children between the ages of 12 to 15. The government decides to give a period for vehicles which are registered unlawfully to correct the registrations. The Maldives Police Service MPS has been towing vehicles which are illegally registered or parked.
Speaking at a press conference, Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation Muhammad Amin revealed that certain measures have been decided to be implemented aiming to address the parking issues in Malé City. As such, the minister stated that the government has decided to give a period for four-wheelers to correct registrations instead of towing them. On this issue, Minister Amin disclosed that vehicles should be brought to an area determined by the government within a 40-day period to correct the registration. The minister stated that the registration must be corrected within a 6-month time frame. He noted that the responsibility for bringing the vehicle to the specified location and ensuring the registration is corrected rests solely with the owner. Addressing the media, Minister of Homeland Security and Technology Ali Ihsan highlighted that MPS has already towed several vehicles that were either unregistered or registered in incorrect zones. He warned that vehicles whose owners fail to comply with the regulations will also be towed. According to the Vehicles Registration Regulation, vehicles with more than 2 wheels can be registered if the owner has a garage to park the vehicle in the given zone. Recognizing the difficulties to finding a garage in Malé, the Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation observed several instances of illegal registrations as vehicle owners seek garages in other zones. However, the regulation prohibits parking or driving in unregistered zones.
Minister of Construction and Infrastructure Dr. Abdullah Muttalib emphasizes that due to budget constraints, the focus is on completing ongoing projects rather than initiating new ones. He made the statement in response to questions from parliamentarians regarding infrastructure development projects across various islands. Speaking at the parliamentary session, Minister Muttalib said that the current state budget does not allocate sufficient funds for new projects this year. As a result, he said that the government must prioritize existing projects with new initiatives only being launched once ongoing ones are completed. Additionally, Minister Muttalib highlighted that the government has committed to projects under the Public Sector Investment Program PSIP valued at $2.4 billion. Of this, he said that ongoing projects account for $2 billion, while the budget for the current year stands at just $324 million. He urged parliamentarians to ensure adequate funding is included in the budget to avoid reallocating resources from one area to another. Furthermore, Minister Muttalib said that some projects, particularly 20 water and sewerage initiatives worth $65 million awarded to Feneka Corporation Limited, have been stalled. He said that the government is in the process of cancelling these contracts and transferring them to Malé Water and Sewerage Company Private Limited (MWSC). He also reiterated if companies cannot deliver on their contracts, the agreements will be terminated to ensure that services reach the public. Moreover, Minister Muttalib noted that the previous administration had assigned over 150 projects to the Maldives Transport and Contracting Company (MTCC), which lacks the capacity to execute all of them simultaneously. He therefore said that the company has been instructed to prioritize the projects it has already commenced. Feneka Corporation Limited grants local councils an extension in the deadline given to bring street lights up to safety standards outlined by the Utility Regulator Authority (URA). It announced the new deadline as February 25, 2025.
Feneka has inspected street lights across all the islands to ensure safety following a tragic incident that took the life of an individual after being electrocuted by an electrical leak from a street light in Ungufar atoll. The inspection revealed that many street lights did not meet the required safety standards. As such, Fenaka informed the councils that electricity would only be supplied to the street lights which comply with the Utility Regulator Authority (URA) standards. The announcement was made on June 9th with an initial deadline set for June 27th for the councils to replace their street lights to meet URA standards. The deadline was then extended to August 21st upon the request of the Minister of Cities, Local Government and Public Works, Adam Sharif Umar. The minister stated that the councils would require additional time as upgrading the street lights would financially burden the councils. He disclosed that upgrading the street lights in 144 islands would cost $5.5 million. Providing insight on the extension to February 25th, Fenaka stated that the deadline was extended for the third time as it recognized the challenges councils were facing to upgrade the street lights. It was additionally granted as the URA extended the period following the recommendation of government authorities. Fenaka has previously warned councils against cutting of electricity services for street lights which do not comply with URA standards. This decision was made after thorough discussions held with the Ministry of Cities, Local Government and Public Works and the URA, aiming to minimize wasteful expenditures.
And that's a wrap for this week's 168 Hours. Thank you for tuning in to PSM News. We'll be back next week with more updates on the most important events and developments. Have a great week ahead.
ಮಗುಮತಿಗೆ ಸಲಾಮತ ರಕ್ಕಾತಿರಿಕಮಂ ಹೆದಿಫಾವಾ ಕವಾದುತಕ ಸಮಾಲು ವೆಲವ್ವ ಫಿಹಾರತಕ ಮಿಸ್ಕಿತವ್ವಣ್ಣ ದೊರು ಬಂದುವಾಗುತ ಪಾಕು ನುಕುರವ್ವ ಉಳಂದೆಗ್ ಓವರ್ಟೇಕ್ ಕುರಾಯರು ಓವರ್ಟೇಕ್ ಕುರುಮುಗೆ ಕವಾದುತಕ ಸಮಾಲು ವೆಲವ್ವ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಲಿಮಿಟವುರೆ ಬಾರಣ್ಣುದುವ್ವ ದುವ್ವಾಯಿರು ಫೋಣ ಹೆಡ್ಫೋನ್ ಫದ ತಕಿತಿ ಬೇಣು ನುಕುರವ್ವ ಮಗು ಹುರಸ್ಕುರ ಮೀಹುಣ್ಣ ಮಗು ಹುರಸ್ಕುರುಮ ಫುರುಸತು ದೆವ್ವ ಸ್ಯಾಕಲುಗ ಬೊಡೆತಿ ಎಚ್ಚೆಹಿ ನೂಫುಲ್ಲವ ಮಗುಮಚ್ಚಕಿ ಎಮ್ಮೆಂಗೆ ತಣೆ ಮಗುಮತೀಗ